Hi class, today we're looking at Chapter 6, Lesson 2, Find percent of a number mentally. What we will learn is how to compute with percentages and how to estimate percentages. So the number line shows common percent fractions and their equivalents. We have an equivalent reference card that we could follow so we can easily convert our fractions to decimals and then our decimals to percentages. When you compute with common percentages like 40% or 50%, it may be easier to use the fraction form of the percent because you'll be able to cross-cancel and cross-divide. Now go ahead and turn your page over to the back side. In example number 1, we have 75% of 44. So now in this case, we can break it into 3 sections. So in this case, if I broke it down to 25%, okay, so since I take the 44 divided by 4, the value breaks down to 11. So every 25% is 11. And if I add all that together, I end up with 33. And that is the value I was looking for. So 75% of 44 is 33. Now, another way of doing this would be taking the decimal value 75%, so 0.75, and multiplying it by 44, which would still get me the 33. And I can just add that up and move 2 decimal points. So I still get the 33 no matter what. Now in example 2, 30% of 120. So I can also use a decimal format here as well. I can go 0.30 and I can times that by 120. And that would end up giving me the value of 36. For example number 3, we have 175% of 400. We'll take the 175 and we can break it apart to 100% and 75%. So 100% of 400 would be 400. And then 75% of 400 would end up being 50, which is 200, and then we can add another 100, which would be 300. So now we would add both of those values together, and that would get us the number 700. So your value would end up being 700. Now in example number 4, we have 125% of 800. So again, we can break it apart to 100% and 25%. So 100% of 800 is 800 because it's the total. And then 25% of 800 would end up being be 200. So again, we just add those two values together and we end up with 1,000. And that is the number that we have of the 125% of 800. Now go ahead and try your got it problems. Find the percent of each number mentally, and we will check them in class.